Hello, my name is Steven Rosenthal, and for this brief demo, I'm going to be showing you the application of DocIndex, which is our OCR tool here at DocLive that we have developed in-house. Again, OCR is the process of pulling all the relevant data that we will need to perform any workflow function off of an unstructured document, such as a PDF or something of that nature. That data is then pulled and fed directly into DocLive to perform the necessary workflow steps in automating your process. So I'm going to show two different primary ways in which we are going to process a document in DocIndex, one directly from DocLive itself, and then the other in a more behind the scenes, as if an invoice came in from an email automatically. So those are the two primary ways that I'm going to show. There's a variety of other ways that we can input documents into DocLive and into DocIndex. However, this is the most common and the most commonly used in our customer base. So first things first, I wanted to walk you through a quick slideshow, a quick presentation about our OCR tool to kind of give you some context and give you some as to how we process your invoices. And specifically, we're talking about the supplier invoice process. That's our primary topic and the primary document that we deal with today, and that's what we're going to focus on with this particular demo. So to start off, I'm just going to walk you through a quick diagram here to show you each of the steps that you will not potentially see, since a lot of them are automated, but each of the steps that are performed in DocIndex as an incoming document gets processed. So the first step, as I mentioned, is the document is captured from its original source. That can most commonly be done via email, automatically via our email connector, which will automatically pull your documents off of an inbox and process that without any user intervention required. Another common way in which customers upload documents to DocIndex is through the DocLive user interface, through the portion called OCR upload, which I will show in a second. The first step in the actual DocIndex process is the classification and splitting process. So if you think about it, especially if we are connected to a shared AP inbox, there's a variety of communication, variety of types of documents that are going to be coming into that inbox. That could be AP statements, could be supporting documentation around contracts, whatever it might be. There will be a variety of documents that come in. So our first step is to make sure that the document that we have coming into DocIndex is truly the document that we are expecting to process. And that would be classifying the supplier invoice as a supplier invoice. The second common thing that we see suppliers do for our customers is they'll send in a PDF that has 10, 20, sometimes hundreds of invoices, all consolidated into a single file, a single PDF. So what we do as well in this step is we will split up the component PDF or component invoices within that single file into separate files so they can be processed individually as opposed to one process. So that will be classifying, is this a supplier invoice, and then splitting out all of the related supplier invoices that exist for that particular file. The next step is what you all would think of when you think of OCR, optical character recognition. That is simply pulling the required documents or information off of the document that we will need to process that document. This could be supplier name, PO number, price, things of that nature. One thing that I like to mention here as a part of our extraction process is the artificial intelligence that we utilize within this tool out of the box for you to leverage as you process supplier invoices. We are built on Microsoft Azure's tech stack, and what that means is it gives us the ability to leverage Microsoft's AI models to determine what information we need to pull from the supplier invoices. So we have a dedicated team in our company that handles the model, the AI model that we will use for processing these invoices and for determining what information we need to pull off those invoices. They review those incoming documents, review any discrepancies or any confidence thresholds that may not be hit for the type of data that's getting pulled, and ensure that the AI model is continuously being improved upon in the right direction. The last two steps here are what you're very familiar with in processing invoices in DocLive. This is the AP workflow, not related to OCR. This is kind of a step between steps 4 and 5, is where you have a delineation between the OCR that's being performed and the actual workflow processing that's done within your business that's enabled by the DocLive workflows. After the DocLive workflow is completed, obviously the ending result is a creation of a transaction in your ERP. So without further ado, let's get started on the actual demonstration of the ways in which we can upload documents into DocIndex, and then how those documents are then processed. So first way that we can do that is through our OCR upload. So from the OCR upload, we click on that in our navigation. I'm going to click on this right here, and then I'm going to select this invoice that's just in my file drive under downloads, and I'm going to select for this to go to DocIndex. Then I will submit this off. Now quickly, I am going to pull up DocIndex here, and this is all done behind the scenes. This is not something you will need to do as a user of DocLive, but to give you a feel for what happens behind the scenes, I want to show you what's going on in DocIndex real time. So as you can see, this is the document that was just uploaded in DocIndex, and it will be going through a variety of steps that we had just talked about, collecting all of the data that is needed for this particular invoice that's coming through. And then we'll be, as I mentioned, sending all of that documentation into DocLive after it's been completed. So this is some of the things that are going on in the background here. As you can see, it's walking through these steps in real time using Microsoft Azure's Form Recognizer to extract all of the required information that we need. And there we go. It has pulled all of the information that we need off this document within DocIndex. Now, after that's been completed, it will then automatically load up into DocLive. So I will show you what that looks like behind the scenes here. We're going to search for the actual workflow, since a lot of that will again be automated, so we can watch this happen real time. Okay. Okay, wow, yeah, went through and already processed this quickly. So what we're going to do is look at, okay, this was the workflow that manages uploading from that OCR upload up to DocIndex from DocLive's user interface. So as you can see, we uploaded this to DocIndex, and then it was transferred over to workflow 1202, which is our PO-based workflow. And we can see that it went through all of the typical checks and balances that you would see. Here's kind of the summary of those checks and balances, and it came into the status of receipts not found for this particular invoice. And this was because I did not go into our ERP and set up those receipts prior to processing this invoice. But as you can see, all of the related information regarding this document was pulled automatically from DocIndex in real time during this video and processed through our PO-based workflow. One other way that I will just comment on, since it's a very common method for documents to be loaded into DocIndex, is through the email connector. So what happens in the email connector is documents are basically put into what we call a hot folder that is monitored by DocLib. In the background, you do not need to manually drop your invoices into this hot folder. This is automatically performed via our email connector, like I had mentioned. And once the file has been dropped into this hot folder, it will be automatically picked up by DocLib. Okay, and when it's picked up, it will then appear in DocIndex. So we will go back to our demo environment. DocIndex. Okay, and it already went through and started the same process, indexing utilizing the Azure Form Recognizer, and it completed that recognition. And we can see here it pulled all the information that will be needed in order to process that document, same as we just saw. I won't go back through and show that in DocLib, as that is the same process that we just showed before. But this is a quick and simple overview of DocIndex and what happens in the background. Again, as a user of DocLib or as a user of DocIndex, none of this is requiring any human intervention whatsoever.